Hey, welcome to Outside the Box, to one of the noisiest shows you will ever find on the air right now while I'm sitting beside a highway. Anyway, yeah, I'm your host, Kate of Gaia, here Outside the Box, just waiting for Tony to chime in. When he is ready, he will be here. In the meantime, I just want to let people know that, yeah, this is a call-in show. You are allowed to call in. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to be covering the essay that I had just finished the other day, inspired by, I don't know, a few different people, and it kind of coalesced into something that, for me, became a very profound observation from the reverse of the mirror. I'm trying my best right now to try to get the concepts across to people, and it's not an easy thing. I assure you, it is not an easy thing. And I'm just going to keep doing my best to get it as clear as I possibly can. And tonight the essay is called What Are the 99%? Not who are, but what are, you know, because it can be looked at from many different perspectives. I just simply choose to look at it from a left-right paradigm. That way you've got the two opposings, and hopefully cover everything in between in the meantime. And for me, that becomes a more balanced sort of look at things, where I can get a better handle on what I need to be doing. For my own two questions that I always ask, is that something I would do or something I wouldn't do? And in that, there is no judgment. There can't be any judgment in it, because you're making it only applicable to self, at which point you're only taking responsibility for your own actions and not those of others. Where you're being the observer, not the judge, jury, and executioner, that I seem to find so many times online in different, different chats and whatever, where people are still caught in the paradigm of good or evil and are missing the point of good and evil, and trying to see that beautiful neutral ground, which is called love. Love is the pure motion that is not an emotion. Emotion means no motion. And the only thing that can move through this, and the only thing that can conquer all, is love. I can't even put love into a state of emotion, and it's been so, I don't know the best word for it. The whole idea of love being this romantic thing was just messed up. The emotion of love as we know it, I just see that as an extreme magnetic attraction from the electromagnetic universe sense of things, in that those vibrations that we are attracted to at any given point in a being's evolution, as a photon of light of God, you are God, are those things that I am going to vibrate and resonate with, in the understanding that we do evolve separately and individually. And it's when you can come to terms with the fact that you cannot own anything and nothing can own you. When you get there, you will start to see this beautiful neutral place of where, that's my perspective, that's where I'm sitting. I'm just kind of calmly sitting in a beautiful place, in the reality of all things for a reason. And the minute you can accept all things for a reason, you'll be fine. I mean, given what I've been through, was quite a road. Lots of trials and tribulations in the discovery of this neutral ground, of this perspective of myself now that is so diametrically opposed to what it was, I wouldn't say opposed, but diametrically different, and almost completely opposed to 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I was always on the trail of needing to find truth in the physical universe, but I was trying to approach it from an ethereal and physical, but I still got to the point where I could see the difference and the exact same thing that they are. I know it's a mouthful and that's a head full, but that's exactly how I see it. That there is no good or evil, there is good and evil. There is no right or wrong, there is right and wrong. It just depends on what side of the coin you're standing on, and my position has always been one of, as a two-spirit, of kind of walking that middle ground, you know, between the worlds. So I'm getting a very pan-determined look at both left and right equally. And when I finally came to terms with who and what it was I am and my particular role here, and after spending 4 decades of trying to prove myself wrong, and there was something definitely insane and wrong about me, only to discover that I was given what I thought was one of the cruelest curses. I was given one of the most beautiful blessings. And again, we all choose our games and our roles to play, and it just took me a while to figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out. But I'm a lot further down that yellow brick road in the Emerald City than I have been yesterday. So again, this is all moments of now. I don't deal in the past, I don't deal in the future, I only deal in the now. And when you get into that beautiful point of now, and I would recommend anyone who hasn't seen the movie or read the book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, if you can grasp exactly what Socrates is trying to share in the movie or in the book, from the perspective, you will start to get a better and fuller understanding of yourself and who and what it is you are and what is your purpose. I covered that in one of the essays there, What's in a Name. And there's a lot of power in your name. If you can figure out what it is, bring in the fact that whatever your zodiac is, that's the holy science. That is your roadmap. And your name is your purpose, your way. That's what ancient etymology for name is. When you can figure out your way through your name, you'll be fine. And all you do is look at it and listen to it. Don't just see it as a spelling. Listen to it as a sound. And then try to work both of them together to see what it sounds like, or what other words you could get out of it, be it through a Latin translation or Greek or letter by letter. And for those that have been listening to me for any length of time, you're starting to get a handle on just how beautifully messed up and beautifully perfect the Angle-ish language is. It is the perfect trap and the perfect freedom, all in the same language. And it is truly the architect's gift that we can all learn to use or ignore. And that's your call. Ignoring it, that's not something I would do. Looking at it and really trying to understand it and feel it and listen to it and see it and just be it, then that's something I would do, and that's something I have done. And that's been my trail from day one, pretty much. I look back over everything in my life as just clues to who and what it is I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. All things work for a reason, and I can see them as clear as day with this beautiful silver thread running through them all. And my wish is that you can too. And hopefully I'll be able to convey some of those ideas for you where you can resonate with them and where you can begin to make an even bigger difference in this universe, because you are me as I am you. We are all one, just different perspectives of that. And everyone matters equally. Now, when I finish this essay, I'm going to go through a couple of perspectives that I will try my best to explain. The concepts are so simple and so contrary to what we've all been brought up and taught to believe. It might take a little bit, one, for me to explain, and two, for you to grasp it. But you guys are all pretty smart. Hey, you're here. Obviously, there must be some resonance. You're listening. So there you go. It's either that or I'm just constantly trying to ram it down your throat. But that's just my way. That's okay. Anyway, so let's see here. What are the 99%? Yours truly. Now, here's the essay for you. And again, you can call in. Oh, I will. Actually, I should give the number out. That'd probably be a good thing, Catherine. Some days. Anyway, you can call in on the landline at area code 714-868-0749. That's area code 714-868-0749. Or you can Skype in. All you have to do is, if you're listening on the page, the Skype button should be there. And if it's not, just refresh your page, and the Skype button will be there. And feel free to call in, and I'd love to hear from you. So, without further ado, to God, we will read this. And yeah, I'd love to hear some other perspectives on it. Now, Tony, when you show up, I'll get to you because you're still not there yet. I'll just keep checking. All right, so live radio, gotta love it. So what are the 99%? Now, in the grand scheme of things, especially lately, you will see a lot of people chanting the "we are the 99%" without ever really considering what that truly is. You will find that protests in front of banks that they support with their loans, also known as deposits, they will be screaming and shouting about how the bankers are screwing them, and then the next day they'll happily go in and cash a government or other check. They will be protesting the evils of the banks with their cute little signs and their dressed-up children who haven't a clue as to the signs they're carrying, since many of these children aren't old enough to read yet. I find it ironic and a little sad that people are teaching their own kids how to protest something but really haven't got a clue as to what they're really protesting. These are the people that have spent most of their lives asleep at the wheel while merrily using the system to their own benefit. But once that benefit turns to blatant truth as to the fraud of the whole system, out they go to the streets, where so many of us have been for a long time and left, as we simply chose to stop feeding the beast that is killing us. Now, when people feed banks, they feed their own destruction. Yes, we are in a transition from banking to no banking, I assure you. Many have finally seen the folly of allowing someone the power of printing paper money out of thin air, as if they or anyone could be trusted with that role. And I would challenge any of the 99% who are protesting if they wouldn't do exactly the same thing they are protesting about. The temptation to human nature is too great, where the programs of the mind run too deep. If I start handing you a few $100 bills every day, you will get used to it. You'll even find a way to justify it. This is the fallacy of benevolent human nature within the 99% mindset. And the simple truth is, if you're using one or any of their banks, you're guilty of feeding this paradigm. And oh yes, it is a tangled web we're in, to be sure. And there is no easy way out of this, and we'll simply have to exit this in the drip-by-drip fashion we got into it. That drip will become a waterfall once the system finally and inevitably collapses. You think the 99% are pissed off now? Just wait when they discover all their savings, quote-unquote, are wiped out, because the truth is, any money anyone puts in the bank is a loan to the bank and not a deposit to your account, because you own it. The name you're using is owned by someone else, and they'll call in the chips on it, not you. And the other truth is that all paper money is only meant for interdepartmental government use, so what does that make anyone who uses it? And once you've come to terms with this fact, it becomes a necessity of use in the interim, versus being another dumbed-down civil servant government employee with an elevated sense of self-importance. Now, while I fully grasp the why people are protesting, it nevertheless leads me to ask those protesting exactly what it is they're raving at. Blindness and ignorance have been the rulers of the masses for too long, and I only see this as the next net result of our own ignorance until we finally decide to stand up and say we've had enough. Unfortunately, for many of those protesting, they started awakening too late, when it was merely the reaction to finally being fully screwed that got them to stand in the first place, with no real means of self-support by this point. This is not a good position to parlay anything from. It is a position of weakness, and pardon the pun, the 1% referred to here were banking on that, and they have you exactly where you placed yourself. There is, however, another 1% that I speak of. They are the 1% who already awakened to this ruse a long time ago, and actually planned their game accordingly, preparing for an uncertain future that was still being created in each moment of now that they were living in, and still do. We are the ones that smelled this rat early on, and we're frustrated at every turn by the 99% that are finally getting it, albeit a dollar shy and a day late. We are the ones that poured our lives into this in order to create a better now of the future. We are the ones that have been telling everyone all along about what is happening now, and we're still getting beaten up for it. Yet, we are the ones that they come to in their times of need, because the reality of what we have said for a long time has finally sunk in. Here's another cold, hard fact for you. Many, if not all of us, are at a point now where this work has cost us everything, and we are at the point of not being able to continue, me being one of them. I've drained my entire life, family, and fortune into this walk, where only truth mattered, damn the torpedoes. And I know many others who have done the same, where we have lost our homes, our livelihoods, our families, etc., because of the frauds we have revealed for all to see. There are those that have control of this planet that do not like it when that happens, and they do whatever they can to kill that truth getting out. Some of us got through alive only because we know how universal law, not man-made law, truly works. Knowing this renders you untouchable at varying degrees, depending on one's ability to grasp these eternal laws. The 99% are merely experiencing the rubber band effect of their own actions, where natural law's pendulum always comes back to center and beyond, depending on the individual's trespass on these laws. Alas, they will continue to bitch and gripe, and will then go looking for answers that have long been there and waiting if they could simply have woken up sooner. In accordance with the trough programming of the masses, these truths too will be taken for granted and used at will, where the benefit of the one still outweighs the benefits of all. Such is the system speak, system think, and system do. I've been an oarsman in this particular boat for a long time now, constantly rowing to the shores of truth, along with a handful of others, and there is one thing we've noticed. The more truth we uncover, the more they climb aboard this boat. The only problem is, 99% of them don't pick up an oar or offer to give energy to those of us long past exhausted. No, they come aboard with their deck chairs and sunscreen and pina coladas and start bucking the chant of, "Row faster!" And by this point, you will already know which part of the crew you are. Here's the catch. I already know my fellow 1%ers, because their actions speak, not their words. And these 99% are the ones happy about the 1% of us who are getting things done. They are the ones that are enjoying all the benefits and the fruits of the labors of those 1%ers. Excuse me, of those 1%ers that have anteed up everything to pay to reveal these truths. They are the ones that are happy to get all the info they need to better their lives without ever feeling the need to share from the trough with those of us who filled it. While the 99% know they are getting something of value, they will never feel a need to give it value by helping the 1% who brought something to the potluck supper and made room for them on an already overcrowded boat due to the deck chairs. Now they, the 99%, are the ones that are still in the system of thinking, and to the system they will return, until they too pick up an oar or bring something to the table. So the next time you get invited to a potluck supper, show up with nothing. Them eat the most, but don't expect to get invited back. Imagine if it was you providing all the food for the potluck, and then have everyone show up, eat until they're full to obesity, and then leave you with empty pots and the bill because you were too busy filling them to get a chance to eat. This is how I see the 99% attitude trapped in the system mindset. They will never be free. Imagine that every day you return to this boat and are welcomed fully, only to find one day the very crew you were leaning on to get to the shores of truth have all disappeared or died. The good news is the oars were left behind, but the sad part is the 99% didn't take the time to learn how to use them. Yep, the professor, the captain, and the rest of the crew of the SS Minnow have vanished, and all that's left is Gilligan. No, I don't see a sequel here either. Much love, one of your dedicated oarsmen, Kate. Oh, and P.S. Oarsmen that help other oarsmen, as we always do, are sharing the last crust of bread, while the 99% deckcharians guzzle down the pot roast. Sharesies, perhaps? Anyway, there you go. There's a little bit of me to a whole lot of you. I gotta check the room to see if Tony's there yet. Still not there. I don't know where Tony is. I'm gonna check Skype here to see if he's about, and I'm not seeing him. Oh, there he is. Try again, Tony. Try again. Okay, I'm at the helm here, Tony. So if you wanna call in, I can bring the call. And don't forget, yes, you can call in, listeners. I'd love to hear from you at 714-868-0749. When I'm finished doing this show tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will have done a total of 6 hours of live radio today talking. And it could have been 8 hours. Tony will have done 8 hours if he sits in for the whole 2 hours here. So please bear with me, guys. My voice is tired. I have to do the shows outside, and it is a little bit chilly, so if I end up coughing or clearing my throat, that's only because of the weather. The good news is this, due to a few other oarsmen out there that have been helping share that last crust of bread, we got word today that we have a place secured for October 1st. For myself, Victoria, Tara, and now possibly 2 others. So I wanted to put out a most heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to those that have helped get us this far. We're still not at our mark. We're still not at our target. But we're there. I got to tell you, it's kind of funny because, I mean, I could probably do the math and it would work out to about 99%, but when I look into, I'm going to put the onus out there because there's a, let me just go and check it out on the Freedom Range room. In the Freedom Range group, we have a total of 1,377 members. And every one of those members, if they're logged on to Facebook at any time, will get notices as to what's going on. And I'm sure at some point, those 1,377 members, myself included, have tuned in and gotten something of value. Otherwise, we wouldn't want to be members. Makes sense to me. And here's the irony of this. All it would take. This is all it would take. This is a great comparison of the 1% and the 99%, just to show you. Of the 1,377 members, I can count about, less than 1% of 1% of the people in the Freedom Range group that have anteed up to help myself and others get to a place where this helm will be a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more quiet, where I don't have all this traffic nonsense going on in the background. And here's the irony. If every single one of those members could cough up a single solitary dollar, and I can guarantee you anyone that's listening right now can find at some point of this day that you just pissed $1 away somewhere. Somewhere, somehow. If everyone in this room decided to take up a $1 ore, that is 1 month of our helm cup. That's simple. Yet again, 1% of 1% of 1% of the people just in this group anteed up and have allowed me to, 1, stop freezing to death at night in a tent, which is great. Thank you so much for that. 2, it's going to help me speak a little clearer where my throat isn't dry and hoarse because I'm outside all day. 3, I'm going to be able to start doing some serious work for Divine Providence to get the paperwork and help people get the paperwork to get out of Babylon. So here's the thing: when you help a being like me, you are only helping yourself and countless thousands of others, millions actually. I think Tony just tried to call again. I better give Tony the link here, because I don't think he knows where we are. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to paste that in there. All right, Tony, I don't know if you're listening or not, but there is the link for the show for tonight, so just click on that, get your Skype button, because I don't know how you're doing it. You can't call in on the same channel here as much as I want you to. You kind of got to be through the board to do this. Anyway, so that being said, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. So don't forget, you can click the Skype button in the outside the box Freedom Reigns page that you're on listening. And if you have any questions or whatever, that would be great. Also, I'm skipping over to the Freedom Reigns room. We have some people in the chat room. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions in there. And I want to thank all the new people that have been contact requesting me on Facebook. It's been going crazy in a very good way. So obviously word is getting out. Things are starting to resonate. And we are making a difference on this planet. That's it. End of story. And that's a very, very good thing. So, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss the tune on for a second so I can clear my throat and hopefully get Tony on board here, where I can get him bouncing back and forth. I'm just looking for a pretty, well, actually, yeah, here it is. This is a tune I want to play. This is my actual signature song I wrote for back in 1993, 94. It was a few years old, but I actually wrote it as a poem, and as fate would have it, it turned into a song. So I'm going to play that for you guys right now. The song is called Field of Broken Dreams. You're listening to The Box. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia. We'll be right back after this tune.
I've never seen before my eyes this dream. I've never known what makes this child to see. Like tears from a mountain pouring gently to the sea, a curiosity. Will you dare to touch my soul? Is love so frail that we can't hope to be more than we are, more than our hearts can see? And if for any reason on this field of broken dreams we stand to lose it all, then for you, yes, I do it willingly. If this is our moment, captured in time, always to sustain, for lost in your eyes I find are the only means to remain. Searching relentlessly, just like a cloud, she chases her rain. We'll stand here firm, 'cause we are an island protected by love on this field of broken dreams. It's never clear, this path of destiny. That's why we're here, to find our need to be. Elusive as a rainbow, we can try to steal her gold, but she'll give it willingly. Will you dare to ask her though? We'll find a way, we must believe in us. There'll come a day, we'll soar, and when it does, the sky will have no boundaries. I will challenge every sea, I will never lose this dream. 'Cause for you, yes, I do it willingly. If this is our moment, captured in time, always to sustain, for lost in your eyes I find are the only means to remain. Searching relentlessly, just like a cloud, she chases the rain. We'll stand here firm, 'cause we are an island protected by love on this field of broken dreams. On this field of broken dreams.
Okay, well, hopefully I'm back on the air here. Just had a quick chat in with Tony to let him know. Not even sure how I'm going to be able to do this. I'll make sure that I'm still on the air here. If anyone in the chat room can hear me, I'd love to know if I'm still on the air. I'm not sure if I am or not. So, in the meantime, I'm going to click on one more song. That way, I can double check just by listening in myself. So I'm going to do that right now. And a song called Refuge. Right back.
The time, say what's on my mind, what I'm really thinking. You there, clouding up my senses. I can't build my fences strong enough to hide what I feel inside. It's too much for a single man to bear. So find me somewhere I can run to, any kind of refuge without you there. Sometimes when I'm feeling lonely, it's always when I'm only 1,000 miles away. Take me as you'll always find me, with all my sleeves inside me. Who I am right now, what I feel inside, too much for a single man to bear. So find me somewhere I can run to, any kind of refuge without you there. Somewhere I can run to, any kind of refuge without you there. Find me somewhere I can run to, any kind of refuge without you there. Find me somewhere I can run to, any kind of refuge without you there. I need refuge without you there. Without you there.
Okay, yeah, a song I wrote probably, I wrote that in 2001, so yeah, a lot of songs are getting a bit old here, but that's okay. I still write new ones all the time. Just typing you, Victoria, if you can hear me, just Skype me back if you can. Let me know if you can hear me. That would be great. Yeah, a few technical difficulties here. Feeling really challenged tonight. Not even sure if I'm still on the air. But I did hear the song when it was playing, so I have to assume that it's there and everything's good. But other than that, I'm just going to carry on. It's been a very long day of live radio, and amongst other things, anyway. So it's all good. So Victoria, if you can hear me, just Skype me back through Skype, and that would be awesome. Or you can tag me in the chat room. And if you can't hear me, well, I'm just talking to myself now anyway, aren't I? Tony, I don't know what we're going to have to do to be able to get you back on here with Skype. Just so people know what's going on, I did get a call from Tony via the line, but there's a 4-number PIN that you need that to bring them into the call. So anyway, all right. So I had an inspirational moment there, and I felt this urge, because I listen to things in the now, of revisiting an essay that I know I've already covered, but I feel it is important enough based on the one I just read to get this point through to people, in that everything here is in reverse. And to let people know what the word reverse means, re-ver-se, which is 3 words. Re, the ancient spelling of Ra, sun god. So Re is the son of God, or Re, so Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So Re is the son of God. Ver is archive show from Monday. Haven't heard you on. Okay, that's not a good thing. I'm thinking, Victoria, you need to go to the current one. If you're hitting an archive, I don't know what that's all about. So let me just put this in for you, because that's the proper date. Try that one. Try this link, and then we'll know. So anyway, all right, so getting back to reverse. So Re, being the son of God, Ver, from verily, meaning truth, and Se, S-E, is Latin for himself, herself, itself. So the son of God, truth, the Holy Trinity of the one, himself, herself, itself, means that we need to reverse our way of getting in here and to get out. You got to get in to get out, and it is backwards. This is Genesis carpet crawler land, so best get used to it. So anyway, I'm going to read the essay I did last week. It's a short one, actually, but I think it conveys the most truth in what I'm trying to convey with even that essay of what are the, 99%. The black hole's deliverance, or darkest before the dawn. And we all know this. It is always darkest before the dawn, and only in the darkest places can we shine the brightest. Religion has always taught us to seek the light, and ye shall find. Find what? There's the one thing that bright lights do to me, and, well, that's to blind me. This is a realm of opposites. Of this much I am sure. It's a realm where everything is backwards, where we are caught in the smoke and mirrors of illusion. Even Hollywood tries to convince us that the dark is evil and portrays everything dark as bad. And I must say that this is and always has been a red flag. Take Darth Vader as a big example, always with the line, "You don't understand the power of the dark side, Luke." Sure, that's all fine and dandy, but the assumption is that dark and evil is one and the same thing, whereas I tend to disagree. Again, I return to the notion of perspective and intention. And if one's intention is to have all the power and use it to destroy, then indeed, the dark and all its power would be a nasty thing for all things in creation. The yin-yang symbol is the best representation of truth that is immediately apparent in my mind. And in the light side, there's a dot of shadow, and on the shadow side, there's a dot of light. My contention for a long time has been that when someone exits the bodies, go 180 degrees from the light and head to the darkest place. It is only in the darkest times and places that we can be the light photon creation in our most powerful sense, where new universes can be created, better ones as a result of our experiences. Nothing can exist as a singularity because there is no perspective. It is the perspective that is consciousness, the duality perspective brought into that singular notion of creation. That is when the singular intention becomes the exponential creation. Okay. This is the fundamental reality of physical, or its mirror of sci-fi call. This is where we must put on our boots and be art tourists again. Even the supposed Grim Reaper carries a scythe, where my tendency is to hear it as Psi the, or Spirit God, Psi Theos. Since every letter matters and destroys matter as per the flower of light creation status, I have a tendency also to be a bit more choosy on how I go about spelling things, at least to try it a few with. You know how important it was to spell those words right. They even gave you a star for it and ran spelling bee contests. It's a rough, foggy line between the light and the dark these days, where it's difficult to see where one begins and the other ends. And that's the trouble with only seeing a limited spectrum of visible light, where we know so many spectrums are not readily visible to the naked eye. And as soon as something is being shown as something to fear, my radar goes off and I put on my Sherlock Holmes cape, green velvet with hoodie, of course, and I go snooping around to see what is being hidden. Take the recent dark night shootings in Aurora, for example. Another example of throwing fear into the masses and connecting it to the dark is something to run away from. Even when my own quest began with the idea of looking for the darkest places and shining light on them, or as I refer to myself as the son and daughter equally, where I shine as much light on the dots not visible for all to see. And take a black hole, for example, with the theory that it is created from a star getting so large that it can no longer support its own weight, and collapses in on itself where no matter can escape, and where space is folded, creating a universe on the other side. These are also referred to as wormholes, spiraling inwards, as an extreme example of the DNA of creation. Look at all the fear surrounding the dark star inbound called Nibiru or Planet X. The Mayans will be the first to tell you that there's nothing to fear, where even the name Mayan means illusion. Is it coincidence that one of the seven sisters of the Pleiades is called Maya? There appears to be much excitement surrounding this age, where I do not know why, but they know intuitively that there was a reason they wanted to be here. Of course they do, because who would want to miss out on their graduation day after 25,952 years anyway? My feeling is that only when a dark sun is near enough can we be able to graduate by vibrating high enough. This has been a life of continually going back and forth between options of what's good and what's bad, and I've experienced enough bad things from those aspects to be considered good that I'm sold on the mirror aspects of this place completely and fully. I have been harmed most by those I was taught to see as good, such as the police, religious leaders, a sea cadet leader that raped me, etc., and so on. Even my own two-spirit nature is backwards here. For me, this has truly been a war of good and evil. Even when we have someone close to us die, we all hover around the empty cocoon and fail to see the butterfly that just left the chrysalis. I've done everything in my heart that I know to be true, and it has done nothing but destroy everything around me, where I'm the one thought to be mad. Then I look at the madness of this world with wars, death, and destruction around me, and I know that I don't want that in my universe. Always caught in the dichotomy of good versus evil, right versus wrong, light versus dark. What I have been saying all along is that if people say things are getting worse, I simply tell them it's actually getting better. It's just that more light is being shed on what's been going on all along. Imagine a world where people could simply murder populations without media coverage, and you'll see what I mean. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, do you really give a shit? If it fell beside you, then maybe you might jump a little, kind of thinking. The world is awakening to more and more because of our ability to see it better, by virtue of more eyes on the tree, as it were. Now we know it fell, we heard it, and 2 million others posted it on Facebook within seconds via their iPhones or Blackberries. Within seconds, the whole planet knows about it. That wasn't the case in the Dark Ages. Word traveled much slower back then, and by the time news got to anyone who could change it, the culprits were back in their boats, booty and bitches on board. My own research has taken me down so many roads I've lost count, but I never lost sight of the fact that all roads do lead to Rome. What most people cannot see as I type are the multitudes of words I'm seeing beyond what is being written. I have long seen Earth, or as I refer to her, Gaia, as a training ground or a kindergarten for angels looking to advance to a higher creator status. We are the photons and children of Source, of what may call God or creation. Every photon of life is one of the infinite creation, yet separate with free will choice and pure consciousness on the infinite journey itself, carrying on the prime directive of creation itself, ever expanding exponentially, creating space through time as we go. The true power of all creation lies in the void, in the dark, because only from the nothing can all things be created. Only when one can grasp that notion can one prove the illusions of being trapped in the physical game itself. But if you ask me, that's a pretty nifty plan, cosmically speaking. So many people talk about the elites, etc., heading to their hidey holes underground in Denver and other places. It too makes sense. And how can this place remain a training ground if there's no one here to train them? This, too, is the perfect balance of duality. If we were to lose that aspect of ourselves, nothing could exist or be further created to allow for perspective, and then free will choice. This, to me, is akin to those who choose to be teachers of both the light arts and the dark. I mean, really, if one chooses to be a watcher or a teacher on the darker side, it only makes sense that they get the best of the physical world, since it's their choice as photons to be that just as important part of the creation. And this is where the lesson of free will choice resides, where photon aspects, like myself, have chosen to move on where we might finally be bored with being a teacher on Gaia, or just came here as a tourist to experience the ride. For many, this is about as far outside the box perspective as they may have heard, but maybe it's one that may resonate with them. We, as aspects of the one consciousness, have the ability to choose which angle or direction we take next. Think of a light beam bouncing off one mirror to the next, being able to stop in the ones we choose to stop in or create. Even the Lord's Prayer says, "Deliver us from evil," not darkness, and therein lies another problem of literal translations. But this cosmic game here, in this particular dimension, is so perfect once you see it, no words are capable of describing it. We are the writers and the riders, the wizards and the fools. Evil can never overcome good in the same way that good can never overcome evil. You can't have one without the other, because that defies nature. When one aspect swings too far, the other one will always come in to bring it back into balance, the ebb and flow of creation. There is good and evil in everything, in all creation, so you must get used to that notion. And the only thing we can do as free will photons is choose what we want to experience and when. It wouldn't be much of a game otherwise, and infinity is a long time to be bored. Every so often we like to do the opposite of our true nature to get a better notion of ourselves and what we like, to measure our own needs and the role in the overall consciousness. And there's one thing I know of for sure, is that I chose this game to experience the opposite of my own feminine nature. And yeah, I really don't like this side of the pendulum of masculine intent, where my game was merely a just making sure stuff. Oh, I'll likely do it again at some point, but it will be a very long time, I assure you. I also had a much deeper need to be here as well to play my own role in this most glorious event of graduation. It's my feeling of contention that the Atlanteans tried to jump the gun on creation's rules and simply messed it up ahead of the age of Aquarius. That's not really that surprising, since it would have been around the time of the age of Leo, and you know how those lines can be. Being a Gemini with my sun rising in Leo can make me one obstinate bitch some days, where I know more than a few photons that can attest to that. No, I don't see the dark or light as good or bad. I'm one to see the perfection of the yin and yang. It is fully dependent on the intention and perspective, where Prometheus and Epimetheus outline this nicely. Think first, then act, or act first, then think. They are simply the mirrors of each other. Just consider that someone once said that all the world's a stage and showed the plays they wrote at the Globe Theatre. And you might just start to believe that you might just be taking your particular role a little too seriously. As at every stage performance, there are those present to make sure the play goes off without a hitch, to direct you when you need it, to gently nudge your ship/mind when you're too far off course. I know I've met a few of them, and why I refer to them as the Watchers. These will be the ones you might be pissed off at the most, or the ones you love the most. But rest assured, someone told me not so long ago, I'm just doing my job. Also, it wouldn't be much of a game if there wasn't something to lose, so be careful that you don't lose yourself here, where someone else ends up taking your role and you have to move down a level or two. Yeah, I've met a few of those as well. The one thing that runs those types off right quick is when you laugh at them instead of feeding them the energies of fear and anger that they give. These will be the humans that have just graduated from the animal world of predator-prey, and they're not very adept at being human yet, and lack the experience the older photons have as part of that all-consciousness. Don't be too rough on them. You were there once, too. Every electron that spins off from source is a new child of light, and they, like you once, have much to learn and only infinity to learn it. This is a game of balance, and the balance must be kept as per natural and cosmic law. If you step too far outside the pendulum swing, that same law will be swift in its justice, lest you impinge on the whole plan as it is laid out. The only variable in that law is the one and only neutral thing in this universe, and it's the pure motion of life itself, the only non-emotion called love. Love is the game changer that has no boundaries. It is the weak force and the strong force that holds the larger atoms together. Love truly does conquer all. Now, if you're looking for me, I'll be the photon of light heading for the darkest places in the void to shine new light and life into the void, where new universes will be created. Only love trumps creation because love is creation itself. May you be and have much love. See you back on stage. Yours truly. Oh, let me see. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just beginning to wonder if we didn't get hijacked, because I just got a note from Victoria that someone is talking about mercenaries, etc., and that sounds like something Drake would do. Anyway, this is getting to be a little bit too weird for me. I'm just wondering if Beatrice tuned in here. Weird. I'm just going to see if Beatrice is around here. Oh, I can't even see the board because it's too dark here. Beautiful, eh? Anyway, yeah, this is getting a bit odd. Okay, I'm going to go to the host room. I don't even know if anybody's actually hearing this. What is going on? Hey, Tony? Tony.
I'm here.
I don't know what's going on. Apparently there's something has overlapped on the show, so I've basically been talking to the wall the last hour.
Have
you been hearing me?
I've been hearing you, yeah.
Okay, so it is okay. So I don't know.
I've been struggling to get logged on, but I finally managed to get logged on.
Okay.
Tried several different routes of doing so, and all of them got blocked, but I eventually managed to find a way through. So you have been live on air, of course.
Bizarre. Not a recording. That's bizarre. Okay, pause, repeat show? No. I'm going to have to tell these people, check link. That's bizarre. And you were hearing the show okay on the link, yeah?
I was hearing it. Sometimes it would start and then stop, and that's happened probably about 15 times when each time I refreshed the page.
There you go. Okay, yeah, okay. No, thank you, Karina Moon. That was weird. So I'm just wondering if we got hijacked there for the first hour, because Victoria just tagged me and said that there was something going on about mercenaries. So that's just bizarre. That is just bizarre. Hey, we're not scaring them too much. So Karina Moon, just if you could quickly type into the chat if you're listening. Well, obviously you are. What was actually going on prior to? Somebody said it was a repeat show, which it wasn't. I've been on the air since 7 o'clock, and it's now 2 minutes to 8. So I'm just curious as to what went down there. I'm just thinking that Drake might have hijacked the channel for a little bit there, and we just finally caught on. But anyway, Tony.
Kate.
I need you to talk for a little bit. I need to catch my breath here. So, yeah. Oh, Friday maybe. We weren't. No, we were. Just one sec, Tony. We weren't talking about mercenaries though. That's what Victoria was telling me. It sounded like last week's Friday show maybe. Yeah, well, we're live right now, so something weird went on there, but we caught on. Thank you. That's a bit of teamwork. Karina Moon, Tony, and Victoria. So looks like we were able to hijack it back from the fourth dimension. Beautiful. Anyway, Tony, so give my voice a break here for a second and talk. Love you.
Okay. because of obviously the quality of the people that we're talking to here on this level of consciousness, I wanted to re-evaluate good and evil for certain people in a different context. And it's only a context that I've come to learn recently that may or may not, depending on your point of view, i.e. / perspective, give you an inclination into the confusing nature of how can people be so evil, and how at the same time can they possibly imagine that they could be doing us a favour. As in, I've recently come to learn that this is the banker's opinions. It is completely mind-fogging to try and get your head around it at first. So I just thought I'd try and elaborate because of the poem that was, the information that Kate just gave. I always thought about good being positive and kind and nice and loving and beautiful and all that sort of thing. And I always thought about the negative being nasty, evil, backstabbing, violent, abusive, aggressive, etc. Now, those descriptions appear still correct to a point. So I needed to look at where this point took a fork in the road. So I analysed it and analysed it and analysed it, and after a hell of a lot of analysing, I drew an initial analogy of putting your finger in a candle, again, which was talked about before. You there, Kate?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's alright. I thought you wanted to speak, that was all. So it's a bit like if you put your finger in the flame of the candle, it burns. The longer you leave it there, the more it burns. Okay? So, then your finger cools off again, you put your finger back in the candle again, the flame again, it burns more. And you keep putting your finger in that flame, it's going to burn you more and more and more and more. So, what's the lesson in there? Well, it's bloody obvious. Don't put your finger in the flame. And that's one analogy of how pain is going to come from doing things in the wrong way because you haven't learned the lesson. The flame's hot. You put your finger in the flame, it's going to burn you. Simple. Okay? Even a baby learns that. It goes too close to the fire and goes, whoa, it's a bit too hot, back off. So that's the same sort of lesson we've got to learn with good and evil, which is, even though you, all right, let's look at just another analogy, just the one, right? You try and walk through a wall, bang, smack, you hit it and you go, oh shit, that hurt. You can't walk through walls right now. So in other words, you learn the lesson and you start to use doors, and that way you pass easily without a conflict or without resistance through from one space to another. And evil's pretty much the same thing. And the more extreme you refuse to learn the lesson, the more extreme version of that lesson you're going to be presented with until you get it already. And this is the difficult bit to really get, because I recently found out that the bankers actually totally, utterly, completely, some people have described them as psychotic, some people have described them as they are Satanists. But the thing that really got me and confused the heck out of me for a while there was, how can a Satanist be anything but negative and positive, and they see themselves as positive? How does that work? How could that possibly work? You know, you're doing damage, you're doing destruction, violence, negativity, hurt, pain, suffering, etc., disease, famine, war, blah blah blah. How the bloody hell does that work? And they think that they're doing God's work. Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, it comes down to perspective, and that perspective is, if you keep inflicting something on people, let's just say people for now, or a person or whatever, finally it's like an electric fence and a cow walking into an electric fence. I get it now. It hurts. I'm not going to go there. You know, so you have to learn, we have to learn one way or the other how this universe works. And in order to do that, we need to comprehend what's happening and what's occurring to us on our daily, day-to-day maneuvering around the planet and encountering experiences and situations that happen to us. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it right now, but at the end of the day, negative influences and pain and suffering and all that sort of stuff is there to teach you, or to teach us in general. So if we comprehend that, then it becomes not a negative, but it becomes a positive. Therefore, we get it already. I don't need to put my finger in the flame. I don't need to bang my head into the wall. And I don't need to do those things anymore, because I know that that's going to hurt. And it's the same with our emotions. It's the same with what we put out. It's the same with what we think. It's the same with what we do. It's the same with how we behave. And that's the point. And we need to then, once we've grasped that element, which indeed in itself is commendable for somebody that didn't grasp it before I've spoke, to grasp it now, it's incredible. It's an incredible leap of consciousness to get your head around it, because when you've grasped it, you've learned from it, and when you've learned from it, you realize that you can now rise above it, and you can become better than it. You don't need that test anymore. Okay? You walk into so many walls, you get the picture. You put your finger into so many flames, you get the picture. This is the point. What is being shown to us physically, on every level, emotionally, spiritually, painfully, whatever, on every single level, is that if you don't follow natural laws, you are not going to last very long. Analogy I used recently was the fly is part of nature. It's an insect. And a plant is part of nature. It's a plant. But you get a fly that flies into a Venus flytrap and it gets trapped, it's nature. Because the chemical smell that was coming out of that plant was good enough to trick the fly into getting into that trap. But the difference is there's no escape for that fly now. He's in the trap. It's too late. So the fly, of his own stupidity, flew into that Venus flytrap and now he's caught. It's too late. So all of these things that are building up to the big microchipping of the human race, which is the flytrap, once you've accepted that chip, and once we haven't got that chip in us, there's no escape. Because that's a whole different level of stuff we're going to go into if we allow that to happen. The point is, all the wars, the famine, the death, disease, destruction, lies, hidden, all of this negativity is there to teach us something. And the best thing that we can do for ourselves as a race is learn from it. Because if we leave it too late to learn, we're in serious, serious, serious trouble. So that's basically the message. It's like, how can negativity be constructed in any way remotely as positivity? Well, it's in the lesson that we learn. I hope that helps some people, if indeed you can deal with that, to understand remotely what I'm just personally beginning to comprehend. And wow, it's pretty serious, and but yeah, it's a lesson. It's a lesson in life. The question is, can you handle the truth? Can you handle the magnitude of that lesson? And that's just another way of seeing the same thing that Kate's saying. It's another way of breaking it down into maybe more palatable, comprehensible formats. I'm not saying it's nice, I'm not saying it's pretty, I'm not saying it's clever, I'm just saying it is what it is. And you've got to remember that that's the way that these guys are looking at it. If you're stupid enough to fall for the bullshit, you know, that parliaments and politicians are going to help you. They're going to, oh, it's all right, I've elected somebody, I don't need to worry about that. And, oh, it's all right, I've got a doctor, he's brilliant, he knows all about the medical institutions that taught him it's great, he's cool, he knows all the different chemicals that are going to help. No, bollocks. He's been taught a load of shit as well. the point of the matter is the responsibility is not theirs. The more that you pass the responsibility over to them to look after your ass, it's your own fault when you get your ass burnt, microwaved, radiated, shot full of vaccines or whatever. So I just hope that makes it a little bit clearer to think about at least. Does that make sense, Kate?
Yeah, I was going to jump here for a sec. Just getting word from Victoria. I've given her our link a number of times. One of them, Cool and the Gang, was playing, and the one I just gave it to her again, and she just typed here, FEMA camps, World War II propaganda posters. 4D is really funny tonight. So I'm just going to click on the link here, so bear with me for a sec. I just want to see what the hell's going on. It looks like we are really pissing the 4D watchers off. Which is not a bad thing. Again, it depends on what needs to get nudged here or not. So I just brought up the page just to see what is being played. So I'm fully expecting to hear an echo or a delay. So if that does occur, I'll know that we are actually on the air. So we'll just give it a second here. Just doing the reverse play to see if it's going to come through. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the link works fine. Apparently, I don't get it. Well, you know, stranger things have happened, eh, Tony? So it doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah. Would you be surprised? Here we go. Our fears. Yes, absolutely, Karina Moon. Our fears are there to teach us something, and that's why we need to confront them. Absolutely, and it's only when you can confront them to see how powerless they are, and the only power that a fear has is that which you grant it. That's an extremely valuable lesson, and I mean, you said it very succinctly, Tony, and really, in order to understand how bright we be, we also have to be able to confront how dark we can be at the same time. And I totally get why I can see the good and evil in Rome, in the bankers, in the royals, and all of those elements that people have been ranting and raving against for so long. Excuse me. I get that. In that we have been presented with the truth in front of us for so very, very long, and sometimes it takes a large war to wake up enough people, and photons, of course, get recycled back here if they didn't get it the first time, that it's not a good idea to be in a trench in World War I. And then, of course, they can come back and they end up being, you know, shot down in a fighter plane in World War II, you know, et cetera, and so forth, where, you know, people that have been through those experiences, and there were millions upon millions that fought, especially in the Great War, World War I. Millions upon millions died, and that guaranteed, based on what that was a very nasty experience for whoever was involved with it. Who knows? I could have been there. I have no idea. I don't have a resonance with it in that regard, but I don't know what else to say on that one. So I'm just going back through here to Karina again. She said that had to refresh the Blog Talk radio page. Then they were able to get it, or she was able to get us live. So I would say, Victoria, it's the link on my phone, but there's an American talking about air traffic controllers. Oh my God! Refresh again. They are messing with us. Something fierce, Tony. You've never been interfered with by the Watchers before, have you?
Who, me? Is that not including black helicopters and dark mariahs?
Oh no, you can't include those. Yeah. Actually, why don't you share a couple of those experiences? They're quite fun to listen to.
Yeah. No, I started releasing some information on sacred geometry in the pyramids and the Holy Grail and how it fits, how it all links in. And of course, they've only kept that secret for several thousand years, and got a bit pissed off. So I sort of like started letting out the secrets, so they sent military helicopters over and chased me down the A27 with Big black cars with men with evil looks on their faces trying to scare the shit out of me, which didn't quite work, which is obviously why I'm sitting here having this conversation with you, Kate. So,
Yeah, over a nice cup of tea and having lots of people tuned in, listening in, and well, of course, we're going head-to-head on the Wednesday nights with the fear, doom, and gloom salesman, Drake, talking about all the vengeance that needs to happen and all the rest of it. But again, there's, and I've said it before, in order to have light, you must have dark. So it only makes sense that Drake and you and I are going basically head-to-head on the same time slot. And it only makes sense that chances are that channel has actually hacked into ours. So it doesn't take rocket scientists to figure out how to do that as a rerouting. And it's not our channel, and what we're doing is secret. I make a point of getting it out there. So I don't think it would take much to take that link and add some code to it to redirect it to another link,
Yeah, well, I wouldn't personally do it that way. I'd get Drake on the show and see what he's got to say for himself.
Well, yeah, no, I'd love to have Drake on this show just to confront one-on-one the issues. And hey, listen, if he's one of the good guys, great, and if he's one of the bad guys, well, either way, you talk with us long enough, we'll figure you out and we'll get you sorted out in short order. That's called the no bullshit factor.
Yeah,
so anyway,
a half-an-hour show at least.
Yeah. Well, again, you'll find that 2 hours just isn't long enough for a show like that, and that's one of the things, especially after a day like today. And you're running a total of you'll be 8 hours on the air today. I'm just going to be doing 6 at this point because I had the 2-hour show this morning with the Wake Radio that I do every Wednesday as well. I got to tell you, it is exhausting, and every show has its own element of importance and its own truths revealed in it. So it's like coming off these major highs of epiphanies early on in the day, and it's like you top that by the nighttime, and it's like I haven't had a chance to sit still long enough to let source download. Because I've been doing too much talking all day, But yeah, maybe share with the people the other time slots that you're doing as well.
Yeah. Well, this afternoon, just for an example, we did Wake Away Radio, which is a UK-based radio station. Then later on in the day, at TCT, These Changing Times. Then we just started a new show on, crikey, I was going to call it Pied Piper, but it's not Pied Piper, is it? It was turning out...
Well, it is sort of, but it's centralradio.com.
Okay, well, that's cool. And then obviously over to Freedom Reigns, unless I've missed something. No, that's right. And obviously Freedom Reigns, so, I mean... Freedom Reigns is one of the best shows, the best spots out there, and hence why our friend Drake has picked Freedom Reigns. So what I would like to do personally is put out a welcome and an invitation to Drake, and I'd love some of the people that are listening to pass on the friendly invitation.
Absolutely.
And communicate some of his truth with us. That'd be wonderful. Love and light, Drake. If you could bring yourself to a point where you'd like to communicate, that'd be wonderful. I'm sure we could all benefit from that situation, regardless.
I couldn't agree more. And again, it's about flowing light and love at the things that while some people would consider that aspect an enemy, I consider it an ally in that it allows that singular intention of both perspectives to shine both sides of the same coin at the same time. So I could not agree with you more. And boy, this traffic is nuts here tonight. It's driving me batty, and it's freezing. Oh my! Unbelievable. But yeah, soon we have a place as of October 1st. So a great big thank you to everyone that chipped in to make that possible. And by the way, Victoria just let me know that where was it? This link works on my phone, but there's an American talking about air traffic controllers. So I told her to refresh again, and she comes back with this. Now talking about kids with chronic silent infections. I end up at a different show almost every time. And she says, you must be on freaking fire tonight. Static is so 2 days ago. And then she writes, watch the playback be flawless. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Because we're showing on the air here. I've went to the page and refreshed a couple of times, and yeah, we're showing live, hot on the air. I've got confirmation from Karina Moon in the room, and I know Tony was here, so I don't know what's going on here. Karina, it might just be you, me, and Tony tonight, kid. You okay with that? Hey, it doesn't matter, Tony. The word's getting out to all anyway through the Akashic, through the through the ether. So I am under no. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, you're telling me. When anything of this goes straight into the Akashic. But what I would say is, if we can post these shows on YouTube, etc., I don't know if that's possible. But if we can get the word out there through repeat shows, I mean, that's enough. That's all we got to do.
I totally agree, and I think that's a great idea. Because given that my YouTube channel is quite popular, I could probably start loading them up there, just audio alone. So I think I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow night, all I've got is I do a webinar every Thursday night, and I'm not sure if Maria's listening. She probably is. If she could let me know that that's a go. I get the emails first thing in the morning anyway. What I may end up doing is spending the time to load these shows up into YouTube as audio files only, and just throw the Freedom Reigns logo on there, and we'll go from there. And yeah, it would be. I know it's possible. Hey, I'm blonde, Irish, and bimbo. I know. I'm fairly technically adept. I'll figure it out, and we'll get the YouTube ones up, and that way, the people that are visiting my YouTube channel on a daily basis will be able to access these shows. And I do get links out the next day for everyone that has that didn't get a chance to hear it. And I'll tell you something else, and it began earlier tonight with my Hotmail, in that I couldn't get the email out because it wanted me to verify my Hotmail page with a mobile phone number, and there was no other option in that to verify. And there's no damn thing I'm putting my mobile number into Microsoft. No thanks. So we don't share the number. It doesn't matter. You put the number in there and you post it. It's shared. So that's a load of crock, is what that is. But,
that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? It's been a night of interference in all levels to me.
Totally. I tried to sign in through Facebook, and it deleted my passwords. So then I had to go back and reset the passwords, and it wouldn't have the passwords. On top of that, I tried to go in through the Freedom Reigns, and the Skype wouldn't change. So I've tried loads and loads of different ways. I've even had to reset passwords to get logged in tonight. And to be honest, I've tried that many different avenues, I forgot which one worked in the end. It's ridiculous.
No, totally. But at least, you know what? There's me, you, and Karina Moon. That I know that are dialed into the same station here on the same Akashic, so we have a holy trinity anyway. It doesn't matter. What is being shared right now is being shared throughout the universe. This is the flapping of the butterfly's wings turning into tsunami. So I find it. Oh, hey, Tony, you know what it's like. All this verifies for me is that we must be doing something right. We must be pissing off all the right beings in order to keep them so distracted looking at us and off their game. And that's what it really is. It's now about us being the light and distracting their aspect. So we're keeping them busy off their game, trying to knock us off ours, and all they're doing is proving to me that we're on ours by doing that. So it's beautiful. You see the good and evil in that, right? Because once you see the singularity, yeah, you see the singularity, and it's really easy to take it from there. So Anyway, yeah.
Instead of calling it the good and evil, it's like the dualistic aspects.
Yeah, they're both the same. They're equal opposite at the same time. There is no good and evil, and there is good and evil all at the same time. Boy, did we figure out one hell of a game? One hell of a game! It's absolutely stunning.
Too true. Absolutely.
That's too funny. Too funny. I'm glad you were joining, Karina. It's nice to have someone in the room there that I know we're talking to. Because actually in the room right now, in the Freedom Range chat room, there's only you and me. So, yeah, feel free to call in if you want. We'll have a bit of fun with this. But the bottom line is, the word's getting out regardless if a million hear it or if it's just us talking to ourselves. As long as we have the knowingness that we are putting it out there and we know the power of that putting it out there fully, it's going. So it's all good.
Totally going out energetically as well as vibratorily. And
exactly.
Monkey.
Yeah, and there are many more usually, but it's good to be here. Yeah, there's a lot more people in the chat room tonight, or any night, Karina. But one thing I do know is that we do have a lot of avid listeners. I'm not sure if they're actually getting the show or not. That are dialed in with us right now. So I have no idea. If anyone can that's listening out there, just pop into the chat room. It's freedomreigns.us/chat. And yeah, definitely pop in and let us know that we're reaching you, because otherwise we're just having a giggle here, thinking that we're scaring these guys enough that they're blocking us at every turn. But hey, it is what it is. So Tony, talk for a sec. My throat's ready to collapse here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, like I said, it is what it is. We are rapidly sussing out what it actually is, and that's the point. We're getting so close to the throat. It's ridiculous, but it just boggles the mind in the fact of how long it's actually took us to get from where. Well, I don't even know the depths of darkness where we've come from, in order to get all the way through back to the understanding and the comprehension of what we're discussing, of the subject matters that we're discussing. It's truly incredible. And I don't think, to be honest, I have the remotest idea how incredible it is. Just thinking about it just sends me off into a whoa. What have we accomplished, guys? You know, what have we really done here? I mean, I'm walking around with people recently that are turning the corner and looking at a bus and going, oh my God, there's the numerology. You know, we look down at the floor at the pavement and you see a triangle and, oh shit, there's confirmation again. And you just walk into a shop and there's a big billboard poster with, you know, numerology on the poster, reaffirming what we were just talking about. You know, I walked into a building site this afternoon after talking about the pineal gland, and there's a manual cover with a triangle on it with an all-seeing eye, well, you know, fixed into the ground, that's been there for a while because it's a building site, and next to it is an electronic box with a triangle warning symbol or exclamation mark in orange or yellow, should I say, based in London, with the 144,000. In other words, the serial number of the actual box was 1444, and we were just talking about the 144 and relating when the saints come marching home, etc. And we were just talking about this synchronicity, like you could not ever make up, is happening around every corner. And the more you look out for it, the more you see it. You go for a slash in the toilet, and they're playing "Make It Real for Me." I can't remember the name of the song, but it's I want you to make it real for me, and you know, we can do this together, and blah blah blah. Just total synchronicity when we were just talking about changing things in a fundamental fashion. It comes from everywhere. It comes in newspapers, it comes in headlines, it comes in bus advertisements. It comes from every potential angle, but you've got to be watching for it. You have to be tuned in to the point where you're just waiting for the next sign. It's like, okay, I know what I'm talking about, give me a sign. You turn your head, there's your sign. It's right in front of you. You'll see the geometry, you'll see the symbology, you'll see the numerology, you'll see the astrotheology, you'll see, it's everywhere.
You'll see everything. And that is what Tony, it's so great to hear you saying that. This is what I've been trying to tell people, is as soon as you get into the now moment, you start looking now everywhere, everything makes sense, everything for a reason, and it is almost comical. It actually is comical. Because you'll turn around, it's like, yesterday, I had Tara with me, right? And, we were following this large vehicle, like farm-type vehicle, and when it turned, it was Tara something on the side of the truck, and I said to Tara, did you notice that? And she goes, what? And I said, on the side of the truck there, we were following it. It was just a sign to let me know that I'm exactly where I need to be. And then, of course, just as we're pulling along there, we came up behind another vehicle called an X-Terra. So it's like, so that's not X, that's Key Terra. So that's why I told her, says you gotta pay attention. You gotta know what your Sagittarian sign is all about. You gotta know what your design is, and you gotta know what your name is for. And once you can put those pieces together, get in the now. You don't have to look, because it's just going to come jumping at you like you have never seen before. And it is. It's funny, Tony, like you listen to songs, just the minute you become totally aware of yourself in the moment of now, is when all these things will constantly come at you in the exact moment of now. It's the whole physical game of distraction here to take you out of the now that everyone is missing it. And they're so busy with worrying about the next bill and worrying about what's on TV tonight, what to make for dinner, what am I going to wear, what am I going to do, and the list goes on and on and on. And this physical universe is so full of distractions, it's any wonder that any of us found our way back to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
I mean, I've been sitting talking, you totally get it. Tell me about it. I can take people down a high street, and I can point out to, I mentioned these earlier, petrol stations. Total petrol station hasn't an all-seeing eye, partially veiled. You look at Texaco. There's a Knights Templar T with a red sacred geometry pentacle behind it, inside a circle. All this is sacred geometry. You look at the National Lottery in the UK. It's a thumbs up sign, but it's made of 3 sixes. 666. You look at a barcode. The barcode's there with a 6 at the front, a 6 in the middle, and a 6 at the end. It's satanic. All of this is telling you, yeah, it's true, and it's just get it already. And then you have to explore, well, what is it I've got to get? Well, we're being run by Satanists. Well, what's a Satanist? A Saturn worshipper. Well, what's Saturn? Oh, it's a planet. Okay, so they worship the planets. So what's the influence of the planets? Well, the planets have got energy attached to them. Have they? Yes, they have. So how does that work? Well, it works when the planets line up. They form this and they do that. And transfer of energy, the moon, etc. I've discussed this today about the moon coming close to the Earth and we get a high tide, etc. There's energy involved in all of these aspects. Symbolically, numerology, sacred geometry, and all of it, but they're not separate. They're all one. We discussed today about cymatics, which is taking a flat plate, putting a speaker under it, sprinkling salt on the top and turning the sound on, forms a geometric pattern. It's everywhere. And everything linked.
Tony, the list goes on and on. I'm going to give you the helm for a couple of minutes. The cold is getting the better of me here. I just need about 3 or 4 minutes. If you can carry on, I just want to do a shout out to Lawrence and thank you. Your gift got to Victoria and Vicky today. I just heard about that about 2 hours ago. So thank you. The flows are opening, and expect 1,000-fold return on that one. That's just the way it is with me. I am you, and you are me. When the flows open both ways, I have a super magnet for everyone out there. That's just what I do. I'm a manifesting generator, and just wait till you see. This is what makes me so happy, because I know that flow return is 1,000-fold. Anyway, and it comes in all forms. I get word of it too often. So Tony, if you can take the helm for 4 minutes, I will be right back.
Yep. Oh, cool.
Thank you.
So even just relaying a couple of experiences. Hey, thank you guys. All of you guys that have contributed to Kate. I mean, good grief. You know, how much do you want to give up? We've, you know, I can't even comprehend what Kate's had to go through. You know, solitary confinement, losing the house, losing everything she had. I mean, you don't need a list. You know what she's put on the line for this. So, God bless you, Kate. Thank you so much. Really, truly, utterly, completely. We've got a job to do, guys. This is the point. We know that, no matter what the cost is going to be, you know, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point is, there's a lot of souls in this world, and there's a lot of people in a big mess. And there are certain people that are going to do their utmost, no matter what the consequences, to come and do what they can to do and help the situation. There's many ways of helping. You can give somebody 50 pence on the street, or you can, you know, change the world. What do you want to do? It's your choice. It's your God, your a spark of divinity. You choose the magnitude of your path. You choose the decisions at the end of the day. You know, it doesn't matter whether you want to cower into the corner and pretend it's not real, or whether you want to face it full on and scowl at it, or whether you actually want to smile at it and say, I know you, I understand you, I comprehend what you were doing. You can scream and shout and stamp your feet and have all the tantrums in the world. Doesn't matter. I still know you. You can't change that. You know, I comprehend what you are. Look evil in the face, if you like. And again, let's define evil. We've been there and done it, so I'm not going to bother going over it. But the point is, we need to understand everything for what it is. And that's the difficult bit. It's like wrapping your mind around some of this stuff is just incredible. But when you do it, it's well, it's still absolutely incredible, to be honest. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it, because the more you wrap your mind around it, the deeper it goes. But anyway, it needs to be done. It has to come to a conclusion. And as Kate said quite completely earlier on, it's like a pendulum. It swings to the negative and then swings back to the positive, then the negative, then the positive. Nothing can change that swing. It is what it is, and you've got to go with it. That's the laws of nature. So I'm still fathoming the depths of it myself, but the point of the matter is, it is. That's, you know, if evil won at the end of the day, then that's the end of the game, and that's the point. This game has not been fought for this long to be lost, and that's why you've got people like me, myself, and Kate. Trying to explain to you the depths and the integral nature of the game that we're playing. Even if we were to be taken out of the equation tomorrow, the words that we've already said are going to resonate and resonate and resonate. They'll be reposted and reposted and reposted. It's like Rick Clay, God bless him. Rick Clay's in the book, and you know, he's uncovered so much esoteric information. It doesn't matter if Rick's no longer with us, God bless him. He's there. He's looking down. He's laughing his tits off. He's like, you know, I got the word out. That was all I meant to do. That was what I came for. I did it. Fine. Go for it, boys. And he's clapping us all the way. And the list is endless, but I got an idea you might want to come in there, Kate.
Yeah, well, kind of an accident. I don't know how that did that. It unmuted all by itself there. Go figure. What are the odds of this shit going on tonight? As every other night. But it's true, you know. every word or every intent that we put out there in this creation exists for all time. And if the truth is presented and placed out there, it's for everyone, and it's the 100th monkey aspect that everyone is, and we all plant these seeds in creation. So, regardless of what moves on from here, the seeds are already planted, and they will grow, and that's just the way. That's the natural flow of cosmic law, and that's all that I know you're trying to show people. That's all I'm trying to show them. That when you stand in and under cosmic law, it's a different game, where things start to simply make sense at a level that most people, I mean, even a year ago would find unfathomable. But it's now at a point where what we're talking about is more the norm. Whereas if we'd have been talking like this, 5 years ago, people, the vast majority of people listening right now would think we're off our nut, So anyway, that's just my feeling on it. So there you go. And yeah, thanks for taking the helm there for a sec. Much obliged. Hey, it's your ship too, right? So.
No, it's not an issue, Kate. That's not a problem. But the point is, as I say, it's getting the information across. Once you've done that, and once you've planted the seed, then time will tell, and it will grow, and it will grow and grow and grow. And what's the phrase I'm looking for? Well, from every apple, an apple tree will grow as long as you plant the seed. You discard the apple, and the seed will never get germinated. You put one single seed, as Kate well knows, into the ground, and you got an apple tree with apples for life. And that's the point. It's the concept of how you use what's there in front of you. This planet's given us abundance, but we've got to recognise the fact that we've got abundance. How many vegetables have you eaten in your life, and how many have you planted? And it's an accurate question. Have you planted just enough for you, or have you planted enough to get, in the form of a tree? It's great because it keeps on producing year after year after year, but ask yourself responsibly, how many vegetables have you planted? How many seeds have you planted? And it's not just vegetables or trees, it's seeds of spirituality, integrity, wisdom. This is the sort of aspect. There's not just one form. A seed is a seed is a seed, whether it's one thing or another. Anyway.
Sounds like... Oh yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like your Skype's going a bit nuts over there, which is all good. That's normal. That's why I leave mine on Do Not Disturb. Otherwise, I'd be driven nuts with with the beeps all day. Good point that Karina Moon brought up here as well. Where are we? Okay, damn, you're hung up myself. Moving this out of the way. With regards to the pendulum, the ebb and flow, which is one of the cosmic laws. Law of correspondence. The more you are part of the physical effect of the game, the wider the pendulum seems to swing. When you're the more you have or are at effect to good or evil, and only seeing one side and blaming the other is a measurement of how far the pendulum has swung one way or the other, and it will swing back completely to the equal and opposite of the other side, and people wonder why they were in such a mess all the time. And that's, hey, me too. I've done the same thing. And again, when I speak of everyone, I include me in that. Okay, I've walked this road as well. I've been part of the paradigm, and I've been part of being an idiot and moron and doing all the things that we, at the time, at that moment of now, we think we should be doing, which inevitably led us to the point where we are now. But here's the thing. With that pendulum, the higher up you can climb in terms of the neutral, not allowing for that extreme of duality, good or evil, and when you can start, the closer you get to seeing good and evil in everything, the more in the middle you are, and the higher up the pendulum you are, where it has less effect on you. And again, the higher up you are when you're in neutral, the further the swing is with regards to your intentions, because you're getting closer to the pure aspect of creation, so that when you are in alignment with the 7 cosmic laws, when you are in the neutral middle C position of love, green, that's where abundance and or lack thereof will be found, depending on your perspective. So as above, so below. You know, the game's perfect, Tony. I just wish more and more people could see it.
Well, this is the point. I think I wouldn't be so bold as to say we're at the cutting edge, but we're not far behind it. You know, lots of people have said this stuff before, but putting it all together in the way that we've all managed to put it together, from the ABC right through to the astrotheology, right through to the actual the depth of comprehension. I must, from my perspective, I'm not aware of Santos approaching this from natural law. Are you? You might well be. I'm not sure.
Oh, Santo, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that we talked about very early on when we first met last October.
Right.
And yeah, and again, it's you were talking with Dan Wilton this morning on the Awake Radio show with me, and it took about 5 months of me stalking Danny Wilton to finally, 1, get him to contact me, and 2, for me to hook him up with Santo, and of course that all ties into Bill Donahue as well, because there's Danny and Santo on Bill Donahue's HiddenMeanings.com site. So all the pieces got. You know my role here. I am the dot connector. That's what I do. That's all I do. I see the pieces and I connect all the pieces together, and I feel like I'm a telephone operator, and I see that, okay, well, Danny's doing this, oh wait, and that fits in with Santo, so they need to talk, and I'll hook them up, and then I'll go over to, okay, well, so-and-so needs to talk to so-and-so, and so-and-so needs to do this, and I feel like, you know, 1 ringy-dingy-dingy, 2 ringy-dingy-dingy chick, you know, from way back when. But that's my role. I mean, you're a Gemini as I you're on the cusp of the Taurian Gemini, so you've got a beautiful duality working there as well. So,
thank you.
Oh yeah, hey, look, I'm just seeing what people are and what their purpose is, and I can resonate with everything that you do. And me, well, like I said, I'm just a servant. I'm just a communicating connector. And look at that. I am the son and daughter equally. What are the odds of that in a two-spirit, huh?
You're a facilitator. You're a coordinator and a catalyst.
Well, that's my name, Catalyst. So I've got my job to do. I've got my purpose, and that's all I'm trying to do, just fulfill that purpose. People can flow at me for that purpose. They're flowing directly back at themselves. I am your mirror as you are mine. You are my abundance as I am yours. And the sooner people see that, they will be so much less inclined to cling. Because what this has got to get to is the twin cling of an I, as in the self, where you have to cling literally to the dualistic nature of the male-female, electromagnetic, positive-negative self that you are. You are the per se, the for himself, herself, itself.
Mm-hmm.
When you get there, you're as high up on the pendulum as you need to be to get a good look at everything down below. And here's the joy of it, because when it's like being on a merry-go-round. If you're standing in the center of the merry-go-round while it's spinning, you're moving like a record. You're moving much slower than on the outside of the record that has to move so much faster to cover the same distance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's another physical representation of the pendulum. So the game here is to get as high up in the pendulum, as neutral as you can get. And boy, when you're there, it's a very, very mild swing for you, but you can look down and see that big swath of pendulum swing knocking everything out of its way. Be it good or evil, or good and evil at the same time. So, yeah, definitely the as above view is way better than the so below. So I'm just trying to bring that as above to the so below so that it works on both sides equally. Just my thoughts on it.
Absolutely. One of the things that springs to mind is that, it doesn't really matter how many people we're talking to, but evil spelled backwards is live. And live can be understood as in you didn't know any better. You were just living it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I thought you were going to keep going there for a second. You know me, I like to mute, so it takes me a second here to re-click and get back there. Absolutely. I was typing when you said that, too.
No, it's all right. I think I need to do an essay on that to explain it like you do. I wouldn't profess to be able to do it as well, but the point being, there's much more behind that very short statement that meets the eye. It comes down to belief and be what you live. And what you live, because it might not be correct, as in divine, might be just a path that you needed to take to understand, which in reverse is actually evil, but you didn't realize it. You're not living with God as part of your journey. You're denouncing God. You're accepting vaccinations. You're going and fighting wars. You're using money. You're using your negation of your divinity, your name. All of the things that we've been doing are effectively evil, but we didn't realize it because we've just been living our lives. We be what we live, which in fact, in reverse, is evil because it's not reflecting on divinity, and thus a construct. That's a very, very brief explanation.
No, I think it works great because one of the things that I've tried to bring to the fore many times is the aspect of the divine dead and conquered. Because when you are divine dead, you're divine dead. Diva means divine, and of course, you know me with sounds, sight and sound, right? It's those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Well, okay, it said and ears to hear, so I thought, okay, well, I guess I have to see and hear it at the same time. And that's where much, if not all, of the spellings were broken with me, in that I was listening to the words and seeing them in all various forms. And it's like one of the essays I put in the idea of the subtleties of sound and how one thing can mean something entirely different yet sound identical. And it was like this. And it's funny, what a coincidence. I just wrote, I do embrace both sides of my natures of male and female. Prefer the feminine essence of me because that's who I am. I've always been that inside. That's the nature. That's my pendulum swing. But the one example I gave in sound and sight to show the difference and hear the difference is this. When one wants to seal a wound, one must cauterize it, and I'm not sure if it was the dress or the shoes that cauterize. So that's, again, you see, that it's the subtleties of the language, the tongue pledges. These are the things that my radar goes off on a level now that, I've always really, being a songwriter, I'm always looking to find different ways of saying the same things, as in writing between the lines, to convey a bigger picture for those in the analogy sense of writing, and the metaphors and the allegoricals, right? And look at the word allegory, right? You've got all ego ry, or parable, which is par-able, which means by able, to be in the right mind, or parables, the dualistic nature of here, and of course we're dealing with the papal bulls, and of course the bull of Wall Street, the bulls and the Taurian aspects of I believe, which is Pisces, by the way, the age of Pisces, that Rome has put down there. But in their infinite attempts to be, quote, evil, they've also been infinitely good as well. Because in order to awaken, one must see the difference in themselves, where it becomes a matter of fact, where you see things that you don't agree with, where some people will look at something on TV, say, and you were saying it earlier about, Cass had said it earlier when we were talking about where bombs aren't being dropped, but somewhere bombs are being dropped, right? I forget where I was going to go there. So many things just cross my mind every second I'm speaking. I had to learn to shut up. Anyway, go ahead, Tony.
You actually hit on a good point there. This is it. If you export war, and you export violence, and you export negativity, and you export or express even, you get it back. So I think it might be a good idea if we stop bombing places now, because otherwise we're going to get it back here. That's the whole design of the point in the first place, to bring the wrath of karma home to here. If you want our people being killed with depleted uranium bullets and all this sort of stuff firing over our direction, well, just carry on exporting it. Let's go to Syria, let's go to Iran, let's go to sort of like all these places. Let's go to China. Fuck it, bring the party on. Is that what you really want to do? Because that's what you're going to get.
Well, here's the thing, and if you look at the as above, so below, we are at war in our minds of trying to overrule the Cain ego 10% left mind, which is the mind of West, which is trying to destroy that mind, pure able, creative feminine essence of creation of the right mind, which is 90% in the East. So it makes total sense that the fact that the West is, and we're winning now, by the way, because look at what they haven't been able to do. They haven't been able to fulfill, I don't know how many cards of the Illuminati playing card game that have went by the wayside because those aspects were exposed. There's no way that Iran and Israel and the rest of the West is going to be able to wage war because we're already on to them. And that is the awakening within. Once we can quell the war of our own left versus right paradigm of the left mind versus the right mind, that manifests on the earth. That's as above. Absolutely, it's all fractal. And when people can get that notion, that's going to be the paradigm shift. That's when people are going to awaken within, and therefore and thereby awaken without. That's why the wars will not happen. They will not on my watch, because I know what the war is about. And that quells mine. And I will play my role as a 100th monkey. And if that is my role to play to cease that, can I affect change on the world? I can affect change in the universe. I'm God, just like you. And you better up to it. You better start acting like one.
Exactly.
And that's the distraction. That's what we've been taken away from. So we got 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, Tony. So wrap up, and I'll wrap up and finish this out.
Okay. No, it's all been good. Great speaking to you. Sorry about all the... there's no reason I should apologise because we've been mucked about with left, right and centre tonight. But thank you guys for listening. As ever, Kate, pleasure to be on the show. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week on Friday. And thanks again. Over and out. God bless you all.
Absolutely, Tony, and always a pleasure. Nice having someone else on either the left or right side of the helm, depending on who's driving and who wants to take a break or who needs to tinkle. It's all good. Don't forget you can tune in to Outside the Box here on Tim Raines Radio, on Blog Talk Radio, every Wednesday and Friday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For Tony, it's midnight to 2 a.m. in the UK, Greenwich Mean Time. There's also other shows available. Tony's got a bunch, and I'm trying to get that information out via email to everyone, and of course on Facebook. You can reach me on Facebook at kate.rene.5. That's KATE.RENE.5, and you can also reach me through Freedom Raines US. Love to hear from you, so please do not hesitate to contact me and or Tony. We are here to serve. This is our job. This has been our choice to do this. Special thanks to Lawrence and Karina Moon tuning in on, Internet's having a freak out here. Karina Moon for being in the chat room tonight. Just great to at least know there's someone out there we're talking to that we weren't getting messed with. And again, we're looking forward to hearing you guys, or knowing you guys are there either Friday night or next Wednesday again. So much love to all. You can go to my blog page as well at www.loveovermind.wordpress.com, and you can get to Tony's Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness in this book at awakeconsciousawareness.com, and it's there for free. It's also on my blog page. Don't forget to check out Santo Bonacci, Danny Wilton, Bill Donahue, and all the others out there doing this. So it's been a great pleasure tonight. Thank you so much. Much love to all, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Take care. Good night. Obviously, there must be some resonance. You're listening. So there you go. Either that, or I'm just constantly trying to ram it down your throat. But that's just my way. That's okay. Anyway, so let's see here. What are the 99%? By yours truly. Now, here's the essay for you. And again, you can call in. Oh, I will. Actually, I should give the number out. That'll probably be a good thing, Catherine. Some days. Anyway, you can call in on the landline at area code 714-868-0749. That's area code 714-868-0749. Or you can Skype in. All you have to do is, if you're listening on the page, the Skype button should be there. And if it's not, just refresh your page, and the Skype button will be there. And feel free to call in, and I'd love to hear from you. So, without further ado, to God, we will read this, and yeah, I'd love to hear some other perspectives on it. Now, Tony, when you show up, I'll get to you because you're still not there yet. I'll just keep checking. All right, so live radio, gotta love it. So, what are the 99%? Now, in the grand scheme of things, especially lately, you will see a lot of people chanting that we are the 99% without ever really considering what that truly is. You will find that protests in front of banks that they support with their loans, also known as deposits, they will be screaming and shouting about how the bankers are screwing them, and then the next day they'll happily go in and cash a government or other check. They will be protesting the evils of the banks with their cute little signs and their dressed-up children who haven't a clue as to the signs they're carrying, since many of these children aren't old enough to read yet. I find it ironic and a little sad that people are teaching their own kids how to protest something, but really haven't got a clue as to what they're really protesting. These are the people that have spent most of their lives asleep at the wheel while merrily using the system, where you're being the observer, not the judge, jury, and executioner, that I seem to find so many times online in different, different chats and whatever, where people are still caught in the paradigm of good or evil and are missing the point of good and evil, and trying to see that beautiful neutral ground, which is called love. Love is the pure motion that is not an emotion. Emotion means no motion. And the only thing that can move through this, and the only thing that can conquer all, is love. I can't even put love into a state of emotion in it, and it's been so, I don't know the best word for it. The whole idea of love being this romantic thing was just messed up. The emotion of love as we know it, I just see that as an extreme magnetic attraction from the electromagnetic universe sense of things, in that those vibrations that we are attracted to at any given point in a being's evolution, as a photon of light of God, you are God, are those things that I am going to vibrate and resonate with, in the understanding that we do evolve separately and individually. And it's when you can come to terms with the fact that you cannot own anything and nothing can own you. When you get there, you will start to see this beautiful neutral place of where, that's my perspective, that's where I'm sitting. I'm just kind of calmly sitting in a beautiful place in the reality of all things for a reason. And the minute you can accept all things for a reason, you'll be fine. I mean, given what I've been through, was quite a road. Lots of trials and tribulations in the discovery of this neutral ground, of this perspective of myself now that is so diametrically opposed to what it was. Zodiac is, that's the holy science. That is your roadmap, and your name is your purpose, your way. That's what ancient etymology for name is. You can figure out your way through your name, you'll be fine. And all you do is look at it and listen to it. Don't just see it as a spelling, listen to it as a sound, and then try to work both of them together to see what it sounds like, or what other words you could get out of it, be it through a Latin translation or Greek or letter by letter. And for those that have been listening to me for any length of time, you're starting to get a handle on just how beautifully messed up and beautifully perfect the Angle-ish language is. It is the perfect trap and the perfect freedom, all in the same language. And it is truly the architect's gift that we can all learn to use or ignore. And that's your call. Ignoring it, that's not something I would do. Looking at it and really trying to understand it and feel it and listen to it and see it and just be it, now that's something I would do, and that's something I have done. And that's been my trail from day one, pretty much. I look back over everything in my life as just clues to who and what it is I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. All things work for a reason, and I can see them as clear as day with this beautiful silver thread running through them all. And my wish is that you can too. And hopefully I'll be able to convey some of those ideas for you where you can resonate with them and where you can begin to make an even bigger difference in this universe, because you are me as I am you. We are all one, just different perspectives of that. And everyone matters equally. Now, when I finish this essay, I'm going to go through a couple of perspectives that I will try my best to explain. The concepts are so simple and so contrary to what we've all been brought up and taught to believe. It might take a little bit, one, for me to explain, and two, for you to grasp it. But you guys are all pretty smart. Hey, you're here, I wouldn't say opposed, but diametrically different and almost completely opposed to 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I was always on the trail of needing to find truth in the physical universe, but I was trying to approach it from an ethereal and physical, but I still haven't gotten to the point where I can see the difference and the exact same thing that they are. I know it's a mouthful and that's a head full, but that's exactly how I see it. That there is no good or evil, there is good and evil. There is no right or wrong, there is right and wrong. It just depends on what side of the coin you're standing on, and my position has always been one of, as a two-spirit, of kind of walking that middle ground, between the worlds. So I'm getting a very pan-determined look at both left and right equally, and when I finally came to terms with who and what it was I am and my particular role here, and after spending 4 decades of trying to prove myself wrong, and there was something definitely insane and wrong about me, only to discover that I was given what I thought was one of the cruelest curses. I was given one of the most beautiful blessings. And again, we all choose our games and our roles to play, and it just took me a while to figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out. But I'm a lot further down that yellow brick road in the Emerald City than I have been yesterday. So again, this is all moments of now. I don't deal in the past, I don't deal in the future, I only deal in the now. And when you get into that beautiful point of now, and I would recommend anyone who hasn't seen the movie or read the book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, if you can grasp exactly what Socrates is trying to share in the movie or in the book, from the perspective you will start to get a better and fuller understanding of yourself and who and what it is you are and what is your purpose. I covered that in one of the essays there, What's in a Name? And there's a lot of power in your name. If you can figure out what it is, bring in the fact that whatever your zodiac. Hey, welcome to Outside the Box, to one of the noisiest shows you will ever find on the air right now while I'm sitting beside a highway. Anyway, yeah, I'm your host, Kate of Gaia, here Outside the Box, just waiting for Tony to chime in. When he is ready, he will be here. In the meantime, I just want to let people know that, yeah, this is a call-in show. You are allowed to play. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to be covering the essay that I had just finished the other day, inspired by, I don't know, a few different people, and kind of coalesced into something that, for me, became a very profound observation from the reverse of the mirror. I'm trying my best right now to try to get the concepts across to people, and it's not an easy thing. I assure you, it is not an easy thing. And I'm just going to keep doing my best to get it as clear as I possibly can. Tonight the essay is called What Are the 99%? Not who are, but what are, you know, because it can be looked at from many different perspectives. I just simply choose to look at it from a left-right paradigm. That way you've got the two opposings and hopefully cover everything in between in the meantime. And for me, that becomes a more balanced sort of look at things, where I can get a better handle on what I need to be doing for my own two questions that I always ask. Is that something I would do or something I wouldn't do? And in that, there is no judgment. There can't be any judgment in it, because you're making it only applicable to self, at which point you're only taking responsibility for your own actions and not those of others.